pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd ask for a moment of silence, please, for all the men and women who are serving and protecting us around the world, locally here at home. And a special moment of silence for the service members that lost their lives recently. Thank you. The committee will go over to the chambers. I want to recognize Sue Buskey on 25 years of service. Congratulations to you. Thank you. We'll go over and quick pop-up. What's going on today, Nate?
Oh, you know. Go, Jeff.
Here today?
No.
You still not?
He might be back. I think he flies back.
I shouldn't say Charles, how are you? I know.
All right. They're coming. Nursing home meeting is supposed to be set.
I'm ready for what?
Oh, that's the 11th.
Well, it's
They think they want to do a committee.
Well, I think we can do more.
I'll get it all straight out.
All right.
We'll do it around.
Yeah. There you go.
Maybe more.
All right. We're gonna, I need an approval of the minutes for the August 2nd meeting. Motion by legislator Emmons, second by legislator Greco. Any addition, deletion, corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. All right, PS1. This is accepting $1,000 from the Oswego County ATV Club for enhanced ATV safety and enforcement. Motion by legislator Emmons, second by legislator Trudell. Discussion.
Yes. Actually, I was just contacted this morning. They had another check for $1,000. Is that something you want to address, or just do this again next month?
Do you know you have the 1,000?
They said it's on the way, but I don't have it yet. Should we just wait?
Why don't we pass it as is today, and if it arrives in the legislature meeting, you amend it on the floor to $2,000.
All right. So note that we may have a change coming there. Now there is a blank spot in the first whereas. What is that all about?
I don't know. I don't know the rules for resolution.
Whereas there are blank all-terrain vehicles
Registered in Oswego County.
Sounds like it was something that D&B is supposed to come forward.
Wouldn't it be great if they had Remember, I still sit in the legislature.
They had a clerk.
All right.
We can get.
We'll fill that number there. I got a guy for that. All right, any other discussion?
Multiple, you put multiple. There you go, multiple.
Numerous. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. Okay, next resolution is designating special patrol officers as deputy sheriffs within the Oswego County Sheriff's Office. Motion by legislator Emmons, second by legislator Trudell. All right, Sheriff, you want to run us through this?
Yeah, just because I'm sure you're going to get a question about it. The main reason, there's two reasons we want to do this. One is that, so the SPOs have authorization to make arrests off school property. And then the other issue is all these security positions that we staff, these guys are limited by how many hours they can work it. So in summer, we run short. School officers are out for the summer, and giving them that designation allows us to have, let them backfill some of those positions. And what that does for us is it saves us money in that we don't have to buy, because every time I have to hire a person to fill those positions, we have to buy a weapon, uniforms, and we have to pay for training. So this just gives us a pool of people we can draw from to fill in those hours, and saves us buying weapons and training. Some other questions about it at caucus?
No, they had a few questions, but we had them all answered, so we're good. All right, any other questions on this one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. All right, next, we have some reports here, EMO and EMS reports.
So, I've been reporting on this in a couple months because we are really swamped getting prepared for our evaluated exercises. So that's something that we've been working very hard to do. The extent of play, we have one more meeting on that, but it's pretty much been agreed to. So we are hosting what we call Eoc Training Sessions this week because the exercises we're playing with a limited amount of people. One, because of COVID, and two, because we just want to keep the numbers smaller and just meet that evaluated criteria. So we will have law, we'll have 911, we won't have schools, we won't have Red Cross, different organizations and agencies that normally participate. So the EOC training sessions that we're having was open up to everyone that normally participates. So we did get a lot of response. We have about 25 people coming on Wednesday and just over 30 on Thursday. So it's a good group and it's a large group. So the primary focus is to introduce just a quick overview of REP again, radiological, and what happens at the plant conditions, and then go into a small scenario where they actually get into the procedures and work through status so they actually have a better understanding. You don't get to do that much during an exercise. You're just being graded to evaluate what you're doing. So it's a good time for questions and answers. So I think it's going to go well. So that's what we're planning for this week. We're also playing in a limited exercise tomorrow with Fitzpatrick. It's their NRC evaluate exercise, and EMO staff is just playing in that. So this week is kind of on the busy side. What else have we been doing? We did participate on a multi-county conference call last week regarding the damages that the counties incurred from Tropical Storm Fred. Fortunately, Oswego County fared very well, but many of the other counties did not. And we're pretty sure that the state will meet the FEMA declaration threshold just from one county alone, so Oswego County. A lot of damages from that alone. So the other thing really is we're still continuing to support the health department with the COVID response. With the uptick in some cases recently, we're seeing a lot more requests for some PPE from county agencies. So we're meeting those so that we see some expenses come through, which is primarily just for us. On the other side of that, departments outside of the county or organizations, we're referring them to vendors to purchase those PPEs. So that's pretty much it. And they can probably give you an update on EMS world.
Yeah, as far as PPE, right now we're in a good position. Really, the only thing I'm going to have to order is some additional hydrogen peroxide. We had some stockpiled at the recommendation of agencies. They recommended we had at least a 90-day stockpile, so we're not scrambling. We're in a much better position than we were before for actually having stuff on hand, and then we can backfill as we need to. is a much different place than last year. So we got your not hand sanitizer, oh my goodness, hand sanitizer. We have your hydrogen peroxide.
Yes, we have an outbreak in jail right now.
Okay.
Last 2 days it's gotten worse, so we're going to start spraying again.
Okay. So as far as EMS, after the stakeholder meeting with Dave and Phil, I did go back to the EMS Advisory Council, met with them about the ARPA funding, put together a proposal and asked them to provide me with numbers. So they were able to provide me with some numbers. Some of them were a little bit higher than I anticipated as far as lost revenues from call volume drop, and also we have a significant issue with wait times at University Hospital. Not just University, but several Syracuse hospitals. University actually went through the state hospital system this weekend to be on diversion. So they say diversion quite frequently, almost daily, but this weekend they actually had to go to the state and declare diversion because they couldn't handle it anymore. So that's a significant issue that is being looked into, and as our ambulances are sitting there, they're dropping calls that need to go to other agencies, and that's lost revenue for them. So we are in the process of renewing our EMS education certification this year. I'm supposed to see the new application tomorrow. I won't hold my breath for that because they've rolled out a lot of stuff over the last year, and usually it's late, but they say they want them back by November. One of the things that I do need for that renewal is the medical director's approval through, we need to have that contract completed. So right now, the medical director has not received that contract. I did ask legal if we could email it to him for a signature, because it's lost in university land somewhere right now. So we need to onboard him. We need to have oversight for the dispatch portion of that, and also we have EMS classes starting in 2 weeks.
So we did send it, but it's lost at the university somewhere.
Correct. He has not seen one in his mailbox as of Friday.
Well, should we email directly to him?
Yes, I asked Rich to do that. Rich and Christy, I asked them if they could email it directly to him. This morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why we were wondering if Rich was here or not.
So we contacted him to see if he had seen it. He had not, so I said that I would check with legal and see if we could email it. I sent that request this morning knowing that Rich was out last week.
Okay.
So, but we will need to get that piece buttoned up in order for us to be able to apply for sponsorship. I did hear that Oswego City is not running a course with SUNY Oswego. They've always run courses with SUNY Oswego, and that was partially to fill that SADAC organization. They're not running one right now. So right now, the university has a hole with the EMS education, and we're not sure where that stands, but that's another loss for our workforce, is if they're not putting EMTs on their campus, and they also help to backfill our areas. So that's about it for EMS. I just always have the best news.
Brett.
Kind of a speculation question on one hand, but if mandatory vaccinations come out, what is the potential effect? And I'm just asking that, with the EMTs that we have throughout the county.
So unless there is, so right now.
And I understand too, it's just speculation.
Sure.
How many have?
So under the previous administration, EMTs were eligible to do vaccination as long as they were trained.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Governor Hochul put out something that said all executive orders that were in place related to COVID that were necessary were able to continue, but she said you needed to have clarification of what those executive orders were. And so right now, we don't know if that executive order is in fact still in place. The Bureau of EMS is saying EMTs had to cease and desist. They were not giving vaccinations. So if it became a need, they could reinstate that. But at this time, EMTs are, unless you're paramedic and have a community paramedicine temporary license, which Mentor Ambulance does.
My real question is, are we going to lose people? Are we going to potentially lose people that may not want to get
Oh,
the
I'm sorry, I
vaccination?
misunderstood your question.
Yeah, are we going to potentially lose people that may not want to get the vaccination if it becomes mandatory?
Yes.
It's a
Right now-
significant number, and then again, I understand it's speculative.
Sure. So I'm surprised about how much of our EMS workforce has not been vaccinated. I think if they wanted to do it, they would have done it already. So I think that number could be potentially high. At our last EMS leadership call, the Bureau of EMS had it in the Office of Legal Affairs to find out if EMTs fell under that. So we're waiting to hear from them. I suspect, yes, we will see.
Okay, good. Thank that answer.
Sorry.
No, and the other question I had for you, under the proposals you had, following meeting style, the EMS coordinator submitted proposals for funds. Can you get just a couple of what they're asking for?
Sure.
And they sound like they fit the criteria.
So yes, direct impact, additional PPE and disinfectant supplies. You're talking about $40,000 there. Payroll increases from those who sent me information, $65,000. Lost income, $265,000.
What was the loss of income?
So if they're not able to run calls because they don't have
Okay.
crews available or
Okay.
A lot of them are having difficulty getting the numbers for treat in place from their billing agencies. So we, in the beginning of COVID, were not able to bill for treat in place. So the Bureau of EMS put a treat in place policy in effect so that they would not inundate hospitals. So if you could go give an albuterol treatment on scene and help that person breathe better, then they didn't have to go to the hospital. But under billing law, we weren't able to bill for that service. So some of that, they're having trouble getting exact numbers. So additional personnel, 35,000. So if somebody's out on quarantine or isolation, they have to be paid if it's an exposure at work, but you also have to backfill that position.
Okay.
So total from the 4 agencies that answered me, 561,000. Just in expenses related to
I
COVID.
get this question quite a bit from constituents saying, hey, what are we spending it on? What are we looking at spending it on? What are we spending it on? So that's some specifics like this. Good. Thank
My
you.
total proposal was $2 million for EMS education and direct expenses. Just being like to continue EMS education and to have a full-time EMS coordinator, which I think COVID really showed that we need, not just a portion of some person's time.
Good. Thank you.
I noticed that $2 million request never made it to my desk.
I did my due diligence, and our EMS agencies are hurting. They are in trouble, and it would be incredibly neglectful of me if I didn't ask.
Where you go? All right, any other questions?
I'd be happy to share it with you. I'll send it right over.
There you go. Probation.
I don't really have anything additional from what the report I submitted. Our caseload numbers are pretty much the same as they were last month. I'm still waiting on the results of the civil service exam so I can backfill some positions. Hopefully they'll be coming out in the next few weeks, but we have no way to know. So we could potentially have up to like 4 openings. That's all I have.
Sheriff, do you have anything?
Just like on a personal note, if everybody on this committee needs anything from our office, please send it to me or Kim, or the undersheriff for a while. He's dealing with some personal stuff. We are going to be rolling out body cameras pretty soon. We got them a month earlier than anticipated. Project right now. And we do have a small outbreak in the jail. Mostly staff, no inmates yet. 3 corrections officers, a lieutenant, and 2 medical staff. Because they see that big fun. We'll see over the next few days where it goes.
Any update on the cars? Did they get their chip change?
No. We're looking at purchasing some trucks that are on the lots, for, especially on the marine and stuff like that. Yeah, we're still 14 cars sitting there waiting to finish.
All right. Everyone.
On hundreds of thousands of other vehicles too. And computers. Pretty much everything's covered in the report that I put in, just a note, our numbers are still high from where they typically are. And you'll see that our emergency calls answered within 10 seconds, we're down to 80%. Largely because we are so busy, and we had started losing people. So we had one person that went on a medical and must have given them enough time to be able to sign up for a couple other options within civil service, and they're leaving us now to go work for schools. Another person that transitioned from full-time to part-time and has since left. So we have 3 positions currently vacant. 4 positions, including a part-time, currently vacant. And as I mentioned last month, we have 3 total names on the food list. And one of them I know is not interested because I know her well. So pretty much have a pool of 2 people to pull from for these 4 vacant positions that I currently have. So going to have a struggle there. We definitely will. We have a consortium meeting next Friday, and I've already put on the agenda to have a discussion to try and pool our resources within the region to try and do a media blitz, because the next telecommunicator exam is in January, and the cutoff date for the sign up for that is, I believe, beginning of November. So see if we can start getting some widespread media attention, because we're not the only ones that are in this position, but it's definitely getting to a dire point. So I wanted to follow up on that because we asked about personnel last month, and it's unfortunately gotten a little worse with that. The good thing is, I mentioned Sue Buskey earlier for 25 years with the county, but we've also put her in as the dispatch coordinator for the 911 center. So all the dispatch staff will be reporting to her now, and then she'll be reporting to me. So she may fill in some committee meetings for me as needed if I'm not in the area, but she'll be taken care of and hopefully working a lot more closely with the personnel of the dispatch staff, which will drastically help us and those departments.
Great.
So that's good news.
Thank you.
So,
Okay. Any other questions for Kevin? All right, Jan.
Thank you. Search and rescue is going pretty well this summer. We're about on track with the same number of calls that we've had last year. We've had 3 Project Lifesaver incidents so far this year, and as mentioned in the report, we were able to purchase a new unit through money that we received from the Stewart's Community Foundation grant earlier this year. Recently, we were called out for a mutual aid search in Onondaga County. That was over 2 days looking for a lost hiker, amphibious, and our team was really instrumental in locating that person. Our team also hosted the quarterly meeting of the New York State Federation of Search and Rescue Teams at Camp Zerby, and that went really well. And then we're preparing for celebration of our 50th anniversary in October at Silver Shore State Park. The only other thing I wanted to mention was we also have a training class coming up at the end of September on lost person behavior, and that has a trainer coming in from Pennsylvania from the Search and Rescue Academy. And they go over characteristics of people by age and different conditions that they might disappear on or be lost, and look at their behavior and help plan where they might be headed. There's certain characteristics with Parkinson's or autism or other conditions that people have that we deal with frequently. So it goes over a lot of detail what might happen in those situations.
Great. Questions? Okay. Nothing else for the committee. I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Legislator Greco, second by Legislator Trudell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.